What is up, adventurers, and welcome to a brand new ShawnSetGO video. In this one, we're going to be talking about, I think, one of those things that comes up every once in a while, but to avoid repeating myself many times, I've talked about this a few times with crafting and Mythic Plus queuing and the issues. It kind of sneaks into that conversation because it's kind of the overarching issue, which is botting and of course, boosting, with that being one of the bigger issues in World of Warcraft. So this post came up that actually details the experience of somebody who up until recently was an M+ booster. This person says, I was a M+ booster until a week ago, and this was my experience. Became a Mythic Plus booster a month ago to try it out as a way to make extra gold to use in game, and originally as a way to possibly make real money from it. These were all gold services. None were RMT. I quadrupled and checked that before starting because I did not want to get banned. My account is 20 years old with loads of unattainable items on it that I have cherished through life. This is kind of like source trust me, bro, but let's read further. Had surgery on my ACL from a work injury and being bored and temporarily unemployed. Decided to dip my toes into becoming a booster. Originally, I was going to boost in the arena, but found it extremely difficult to carry certain players with almost non-existent skill levels once we hit higher ratings. I opted to do hourly arena boosting, and depending on skill level of the customer, I could get them anywhere from 1600 to 2.1k rating. That experience ended up being too stressful for me, so I switched to M+, which is what I was playing on my own already and currently pushing +19s as we speak. At first, it seemed pretty good. Most made good gold really fast, speed running keys and ranging from +0 to +13, offering services up to +18. There was an eye level requirement and basic mechanics requirement for anything above +13 and eye level of 654. After a while, the rudeness of people coordinating these runs almost felt like I was working on the shady black market. Anyone else has been a booster, there's a weird kind of dark feeling to it the more you're immersed into that world. If I had to guess, if I'm going to say, like, it's probably just like player greed, you know, like expectations, but I don't know. Maybe I actually don't know the dark world. There's a lot. The reason that I stopped is I earned millions of gold, but once I wanted to try to turn into real money, that becomes Blizzard TOS issue. I didn't think about that and immediately decided not to do it. Bruh. It's kind of questionable. It's already kind of questionable what's happening here, but like, you did the research to determine that what you had to do to avoid getting banned. 20-year-old account. I mean, you ought to know kind of already, right? But say you didn't. But in trying to turn it to real money, that's where it became the issue. We sure? I didn't think about that and immediately decided not to do it. Folks try to tell me ways to do it that are hard to detect, but it wasn't worth the risk for me. Okay. I'm not broke or anything like that. I thought of it like doing DoorDash for a few hours a night for extra money, but the experience just got to be too much for me. Customers ranged from people that couldn't play well, but farmed achievements and mounts that paid for 3k ratings. Yeah. Okay, skilled players who performed very well and barely died, who didn't want to deal with pugging, and then people who started late and wanted to play catch up and have some activity in their logs. I'm not seeing this dark aspect that he's talking about. Like, let's go back a little bit. Let's see. After a while, the rudeness of people coordinating these runs. Okay, that's I guess expected. Felt like I was working on the shady black market. There's a weird dark feeling to it. It just seems like you got middle-aged dads, okay, parents, and then you have people who don't feel like dealing with pugging, but also don't feel like grouping, so antisocial, like neats. So not a big deal there. And then the last one, let's see. Yeah, no, it's a good amount. We're skilled players. This is farmed achievements and mounts. So basically, they probably had the gold, so why not spend the gold, right? You know, like I farm all these things, so I have the money, so why not do it? Good amount of the runs were 4-mans, and the ones that we had skilled players made it so much easier for us to time. I mean, a marksman hunter in M+ and survival in the arena, and I've played all 300 specs for decades. Just mentioning that since I didn't earlier. Anyone else ever boosted? How was your experience? I'm sure it's different depending on who you're working for. Wow. Being flooded with DMs, people asking how I started boosting. I prefer to say do your own research on it, because if you're a player, the answer is right under your nose. I mean, there's sites. It's pretty blatant nowadays. I boost my guildmates every raid. So, my man. Group leader invited a 3k devastation evoker to my healer alts. Weekly 10 key the other day. No interrupts, no defensive cooldowns, no use of dragon rage. Dies. Does like 700k DPS into the run. I look him up on Radar.io while we were all stunned during the phase transition to the last bustle workshop, and the only keys they did were 4 12s and 4 13s. So yeah, this is the first thing and the most common thing I've seen in these is that if you are someone who's received a boost, it's obvious because your highest key runs, it's not necessarily the highest that you've ran, but like the quantity of them, and having basically the bare minimum is pretty indicative, right? Double checking people's logs. Even though I'm not the group leader in 15-16s, you'll see people in 14s who have completed it, but then you check their damage and it's 2 million overall on a floodgate. Yeah, that's a bit rough. This though, in combination with turbo boost, people can buy mythic trinkets, has resulted in some of the worst LFG situations I've ever witnessed. And I think this is something that comes, I mean, like this is I don't know. I'm hesitant to say it a bit because every time I bring it up, my dislikes go down or go up. So this is kind of Blizzard's fault. And I'm not saying because the boosting, but I'm saying that when you create so many catch-up mechanics that boost people's levels, just funneling money into the pockets for doing absolutely like barely anything, and people have gold to spend, and they're like, why not just do like a few of these runs, you know, boosted, you know, like just literally giving money away. It's so inflated to what it used to be. Like gold used to be so valuable. But there's really not enough things to sink gold into. You're just funneling money and funneling levels, and then people just get these expectations of like, well, let's just, you know, let's do the run. All right, this is what people do, right? It's spoiled, yes, but Blizzard sets that standard, and they created this monster. I had a similar one as a healer, joined a pug with 3100 ret. To my utter shock, he has no interrupts, no personal offenses, used and kept pulling off the tank and dying to aggro. Dear Lord. Never trust us to score, keep the keys, check the Radar.io profile. Like, who has got time for that? Like, what the hell? Like, there's people that are actually like in depth, like looking at these. My experience with boosting keys is entirely positive. Everyone kind of hunkers down and boosts the key. Everyone is pretty chill. They don't really care because boosting is pretty easy. We fail the key boost, then it becomes a bit awkward. People pointing fingers because they didn't want to be blamed, but that rarely happens. I'm actually kind of blown away that this is a marksman hunter doing this. Like, I mean, I would expect like a tank, maybe a healer, like the more essential roles. But I guess, you know, if your DPS is that strong, then I guess that makes sense. Just kind of strange to me, I suppose. Not like boosting really affects me. People do what they want with their money, and you are right to be profiting off of it. However, the whole culture of it, and Blizzard turning a blind eye on these practices really down my enthusiasm about their game. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like I want to say like Blizzard could be considered complicit because the practices are very much TOS breaking adjacent. And they simply went, well, if you cross this line, that's where the TOS comes to play. Like, well, doing these practices will almost always lead to a TOS break. It's just a matter of, like, is the customer at fault because they're doing the real money trading, or is the booster at fault because they're encouraging it, or is Blizzard at fault because they're the ones who go, basically, it's all okay up until this point. You know, like it's going. I don't know. There's got to be like a law referential thing that it's like saying that if you, the standard of going 5 over the speed limit, this is the States, you know, that most people think that that's legal, like that's okay. But any cop will tell you that going 1 over the speed limit, they could pull you over. It's just a standard that we've sort of created over time, because it's like you wouldn't pull me over for less than 5, and enough people say it that it's just kind of like normal. So it's like enough people do boosting, eventually just becomes this normalized thing where it's just like, After a while, the rude list of people coordinating the runs almost felt like I was working for the shitty black market. If anyone has been a booster, there's kind of a weird dark feeling to it the more you are immersed into it, because it is. The reason I stopped is I earned millions of gold, but I wanted to turn it into real money. That's the shitty part for me too. Like, yeah, it didn't seem normal. I didn't think about it and immediately decided not to do it. Yep, that's because the only reason to get as much gold, that's the only reason to get as much gold. I know people would make a couple thousand a year doing this casually and getting banned. Doesn't matter when you can gear up again so quick if you don't care about your account. I only did boosting very casually, but even when I started playing more seriously in WoD, I got offered PayPal money or gold for carries, which I only asked to be paid in gold. But I don't really care if they did that one big thing with Galliowix, probably because they got too big and someone snitched on them. Yeah, I mean, like that. Maybe somebody got into a run and then read reporting them, and that's why. That seems like the more likely case. Like they came too close for comfort for losing their account. So like, all right, I'll stop this. But in reality, to me, what this post is saying, like the OP Root Beer Fest, what they're saying in reality is, in the future, I'll do this on another account as opposed to my main, and then I'll do the real money trading. How about those of us who want millions of gold purely for in-game purposes, like collections, and have zero interest in ever selling the gold? There's an endpoint to everything. There really is. Like a lot of WoW right now, why people call WoW cozy, it's a solo game, etc., is because a lot of things that you have to do have to be self-motivated. Once you get 3K rating, you post it on Reddit or you post it on wherever, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. What do? You start doing achievement runs, or you start going, oh well, what can I challenge myself with, or I'll just do transmog or something like that. You hit a point of this gold. Like there's nothing that I want to buy with gold. That just simply is going to happen. Like I don't want to do professions. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do mounts or anything like that. And the mounts that I can buy, like you already have them, you know, a 20-year-old account, something like that. You're gonna get bored. You're gonna get bored, and you're gonna go, well, I mean, like what do I want? More game time? I'm already paying for that, you know, it's that type of thing. So why not real money? So like it always will lead to that. There's no way you can do it without it leading to that at some point. There's just no way that these practices could do it this way. So I've said this before in prior videos. The honest solution that I think that there is to this is Blizzard needs to go make a system for having people do carries. Make a system in game for doing it. That way, anything outside of their system is bannable, because it will always lead to it otherwise. But I'm aware that solutions like that are the same exact solution provided as the token provided. You know, it's like, hey, we have bots getting all these gold. Well, how about we make it, you know, purchasing gold just, you know, allowed. So I understand it's that kind of solution. So I know that it's not as black and white as that. We did raid boosting back in Shadowlands with guild, but we brought boosties in our weekend and all heroic runs. I've seen a lot of guilds do this. Yep. There was 2 K gold per person. You know, the race the world first is kind of this. They are raiders who will say, hey, you don't get the gear. You're giving up your lockout, but we'll compensate you in some sort of way. I don't know how exactly they do that, but it's exactly what Race the World First does. So, and if you don't think they're doing that, you're literally in denial and absolutely brain broken. There's no ways around it. That's literally what it is. We decided to use it for guild expenses. All the people we boosted were nice, and some of them were even participating in fights. Also, my friend was part of boosted communities and a couple of seasons in Shadowlands at the start, and he did a lot of runs. Later on, he started only doing 10 runs per week to unlock his own vault slots and earn some gold by doing that. Never said he had negative experience with an organizer or boosted people. I personally dislike it, avoiding boosting or being boosted because I believe in play at your own level, but I won't judge or hate people who participate in either side of boosting. It's their choice. It's just not for me. And you could say that boosting comes from a number of things: people who aren't skilled, people who are bored, people who have the money and think that, like I mentioned earlier. But honestly, in a way, I think the current way it's made simply encourages it, because you could spend a lot of time going from 1 to 14, and you could say successful runs builds your rating, but no, it's a single run. As long as you get it at the right key level, you'll be fine. You know, like if it just seems like right now the system isn't made for avoiding avoiding boosting. Like right now, it's very much boosting conducive. And when you have some of the most top end players utilizing some sort of boosting to funnel gear, or to get clears, or to get practice runs, or to simply just because it gives them a little bit of a competitive edge, then I think that Blizzard would always be kind of lenient on it, and I don't think there'll ever be real progress on this issue, unfortunately. I think it's kind of always is the way it's going to be, at least until they kind of drop this whole let's be the competitive edge of MMO gaming, when no other game, no other MMO tries to do that at all, and reap a lot more success in other facets of the game versus let's just make everything important to our world firsters, you know. Boosting is a full-time job that's primarily comprised of terminally online weirdos. It's par for the course to get a bad experience working for them. Yeah, I mean, like I would say, like the rudeness, you know, it's just kind of greed in general. But I mean, in this post, I think that similar to a lot of Reddit posts where someone's posting and going, I was banned for no reason. Like I did nothing, nothing ever happened. And then it turns out they actually did do stuff that got them banned. They just got banned at a much different time than when they performed the act that was TOS breaking. It's like, what are we talking about? So I don't want to say it's like a whole like nothing burger. I do think that boosting is a problem. I think that there's a lot of people who, I don't think you're going to change their mind on the issue. It's just going to be that way for them. Like that's what they do once a season. They do their boosting. Or I think there's people who are desperate to maintain a certain level of play, even though that they don't have the skill level for it. I kind of sit in this kind of state where I'm like, you know, if I can do it, I can do it. I know if I put in the effort, I can. That's not a problem. But I'm not gonna go beyond what I care to do. Like I don't. If I don't care, I'm not gonna do it. Like I'm simply not gonna do it. Like I set myself a challenge of doing horrific visions, doing like the 5 mass clears and stuff like that. I tried 8 mass clears, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this at all. I stopped. And whatever. It's like whatever. I might try again, you know, type of thing, and do it again. But it's just like, you know what, if I can't do it here, I'm not going to try to play an optimal class. I'm going to play the class I want to play, and if I can't do it, oh well. I'll move on. Sayonara. You know, like it's not a big deal. Not everyone has that mindset though. So let me know in the comments though. What do you think is the biggest problem with boosting, or what do you think is the best solution to the boosting problem? And as per always, I challenge you to not say, well, it's the player's fault. Boring. Like, listen, I've heard it so many times. It gets tiring. It gets exhausting. But as per usual, give this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe to the page while you're at it. Of course, join us for a brand new Hearths and Crafts episode. We will be featuring it next Saturday, Friday, Saturday. So keep an eye out. We're gonna have some WoW content creators. But if you're a content creator who would like to join us for our WoW podcast, or if you're used to content creating, I would love to see your content and see if it would be a good fit for the podcast. We love to talk about kind of the controversial talking points within World of Warcraft, and I want to make that a space for new up and coming or just alternate platform creators. So hit me up on those like in Discord. It's all ShawnSetGO. You can see it there, but I've dragged this on long enough. But as per always, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.